You know, it's no secret that childcare costs across the city are really through the roof. I mean, between rent and childcare costs, many families are left with nowhere to turn. So check out these numbers from the New York City Comptroller's Office. Average childcare costs for babies is more than $1,700 a month, which adds up to more than $21,000 a year.
It is slightly lower for toddlers at about $1,300 a month, which comes out to more than $16,000 a year.
Yeah, the weekly average childcare costs for kids who are a little older are about $240 a week, which is about $1,000 a month. Mayor Eric Adams admits that more work needs to be done to make childcare affordable for New Yorkers.
Child care problem was a historical problem, and in 2 years and 2 months, we made major inroads, bringing down the cost, making it easier to apply, making sure that every child that 53,000 3K seats is available to families this fall, and we know there's more to do.
So a report released this week by the Five Borough Institute not only outlines the problems, but also provided some solutions on how to fix the child care crisis in New York. So we're joined this morning by the executive director of the Institute, Grace Rauh. So good to see you, Grace.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
You know, as parents, we all know that the child care costs are expensive, right? But then you see the numbers and it really jumps out at you. 80% of New Yorkers spending 80% of their income on 80% of families spending most of their income on child care costs, which is just so alarming. Many folks moving out because of it.
Right. So it's unaffordable basically for 80% of families in New York. A family actually would need to make $300,000 a year by the federal standard to have affordable child care in New York City, given those average costs. And when you put those numbers up there on the screen, frankly, you could look at them and think that you're talking about college tuition or something like that. Which we know is its own sort of financial affordability crisis. But this is a bill that hits so many families very early on, and it's driving many families out of the city because it is impossible for them to pay for child care, remain in the workforce, and make New York City work.
And when you see those numbers, it makes you wonder how the mayor's office can say that they've made progress in affordable child care. I mean, they've made cuts to pre-K. So where's the progress?
So they have made some progress. The mayor talked about lowering child care costs. They've been able to lower child care costs for families that receive vouchers for child care. So that's a significant savings for those families. And many of those families are among the most vulnerable in the city. But it also, they represent, frankly, a sliver of the overall population of young children. So we're talking about 32,000 families that receive vouchers for child care. There are about 500,000 children under the age of 5. So a significant improvement in the lives of those 32,000 families. But obviously, for the vast majority of New Yorkers, they are not getting that affordability that they so desperately need.
Yeah, and this is a local issue, but it's really playing out nationwide, right? The affordability crisis when it comes to childcare. So what's the solution, Grace, right? Because the mayor says they are making progress. You're talking about some of the numbers here. So many families are in need of it. Where's the money coming from to make it more affordable?
Well, so we think there need to be deeper public investments in child care to make it more affordable. Big picture, the economics of this system is fundamentally flawed, right? We have families who are paying sort of the absolute most that they can get and put on the table. Child care providers, meanwhile, are struggling to make ends meet. We actually have 1,400 fewer providers in the city today than we had in 2015. So that's over 1,000, nearly 1,500 have closed their doors in the last several years because the economics aren't there. This is an almost impossible business to operate, right? Child care workers are among the lowest paid of any sector, so there's a ton of turnover. So many workers, even if they're passionate about their job, and you really do need to be passionate if you're going to spend your day working with young children, even if they're passionate, and patient. I mean, it is incredible work. They are incredible people who do this work. But when you aren't making enough money to live in the city and pay your rent and perhaps even take care of your own children, it becomes unsustainable. So there's been a ton of turnover in the sector. And then obviously COVID hit childcare so hard because so many families kept their children home, and child care centers shut down by and large during the early days of the pandemic and have struggled to come back. But when you talk about what the city can do, there are really meaningful steps the city can make to allow childcare providers to operate in a much easier, more business-friendly environment. Things like speeding up payments. The city actually pays many childcare providers to offer their services, and there have been huge delays in those payments. So things have gotten better, but things like the city owes you money to do your job, those checks should arrive in a timely manner, and they haven't in the last few years.
Why were they not getting paid on time, though?
You know, you sort of start to dig into the city bureaucracy and it gets a little murky, but it's a confluence of factors. The city would say they inherited inefficient systems. We also know that the staffing crisis in city government has really contributed to this. There have been you know, a whole host of vacancies across city agencies, including at the Department of Education, where many of those payments are processed. And so the holes in employment and teams has also led to real slowdowns.
Yeah, you know, Grace, we're almost out of time here, but I want to get to some of your recommendations that were in the report too, because you're saying that redesigning the system doesn't really need to be a full overhaul, but there are ways that you can make some significant changes pretty quickly.
So we put as our North Star universal child care. We think we need to be moving toward a system where there is free or affordable childcare, low-cost childcare for all New York City families. But our report lays out a whole host of policy levers that the city and state can pull now to make really meaningful changes in the short term, because we have to stabilize the sector. Things like streamlining permitting. We think that there should be more flexible zoning so that it's easier to actually open a child care center. Things like repurposing vacant spaces. We've seen our public school enrollment decline, another sign of just how hard it is to stay in the city with children and raise your kids here. But there are a number of schools around the city that have vacant classrooms, and yet you know, we're paying for those buildings to operate because they may be partially full, but there could be creative ways for the city to repurpose vacant classrooms, turn them into child care centers, which are so desperately needed.
Legal places too, because there's so many of the illegal ones right now because it's just a cheaper option.
Right. Yes, and we don't want that to happen. We want children to be in high quality child care settings. It's hugely important, and there's a lot more we can do.
Yeah, so many parents out there hoping that they will find affordable solutions and soon. Grace, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Great work you guys do.